adults in general are not great at creative problem solving.
I don't think so. And I think it's...
And since adults run the world, it's really important that we teach adults how to do this.
Yeah.
If origami's your thing, you're shit out of luck. But if you want to power your business with creativity, you won't be a schmuck. You want to paint like Van Gogh, you're shit out of luck. Want to learn how to sing, you're shit out of luck. But if you want brilliant business ideas, we'll get you unstuck. Get inside the woodshed. Get inside the woodshed. Welcome to the woodshed.
Hey, beautiful people. We are back again in the lobby of CPB for another edition of the Woodshed. And I've got my friend, John Bielenberg. Potentially the first two-time guest.
Round two.
I think the first two-time
I heard
guest.
that our last one is the best-selling podcast so far.
For real.
Yeah,
I have not heard that.
That's what they said.
They don't tell me anything. So it's good we're having. No wonder they were like ready to have you back. Well, the first one we talked about how to come up with ideas, which I think is probably something that our crew, our listeners are pretty interested in. And now you're back. Last time you were on the show, we talked a lot about Think Wrong and the book and some of the processes. And then at the end of the show, you said to me, I don't know if we did it on the air, but definitely after the show was over, you're like, I got this new thing. I got this new thing. I think it's better. And everyone who's listening, if you listen to the last show, if you buy John's book, Think Wrong, which you should, it's amazing. It cost John 10 cents a copy.
35
cents.
Yeah.
35 cents each time you buy his book.
Yeah.
So get out there and make that purchase. Can I get it? How about ebooks? Did those cost you?
I think it's free. I think we have it free.
Okay, so do that maybe.
Yeah.
Because it costs you less.
It's okay.
Is it as good as an ebook?
No.
It doesn't have little illustrations or...
No, it has the same.
Yeah.
It's the same book. It's just electronic.
You just don't have the tactile experience.
Or the foil on the cover.
It's a beautiful cover. So the new idea, the sort of maybe let me just say what it's called, and then you can take us through like where it comes from and why. Yep. It's called Thinknado, like Sharknado.
Exactly.
Which is, I think it's particularly awesome.
Not NATO, NATO.
Not NATO as in the peacekeeping force.
No.
Yeah. It's not peacekeeping for thinking. It's a whirlwind.
Tornado thinking.
Of destructive, high-powered thinking.
Exactly.
So why make... What was it about what you thought? And it's not uncommon. I know so many people will have a thesis in a book, and then right when they're done or within 6 months, they're like, ugh, I know this now.
Yeah. So with the Think Wrong process, it's fairly complicated, right? So it's comprehensive. There's software, there's exercises. You can print out posters. So if you're a large organization or corporation that wants to come up with creative solutions, it works great. You have a facilitator. It's on your own. Nobody ever does it. So, I give these talks, everybody's, oh yeah, it's great, and then nobody ever does it. Yeah. So like at the University of Kansas, I'll take my students through a Think Wrong Blitz, show them the whole thing. Give them a project on their own. They never do it.
Wow.
So it's like, well.
And for you thought, well, that's not what I want. I want somebody to do it.
It was just too much. It was a complicated, relatively complicated system that works, but is more than most people want to go through, especially on an individual basis.
Well, and I think we take aspects of Think Wrong, and we've been applying them into our process. So you don't have to do the whole process exactly as is.
No,
right?
Definitely not. And I mean, if you just take the 6 basic practices and say, oh, well, let's do this one, and just in an ad hoc manner, that works.
Yeah.
But I kept thinking about how creative problem solving is useful for anybody, whether
Right.
you're an individual, you're a little kid frustrated that your brother steals your toys, right? So what's a creative solution? And so I just tried to simplify the process into a kind of easily remembered, easily executed system that everyone could use. Come
And
up with a name that sounds like fun.
and there's no book. You're not there's nothing for me to buy at this point.
Not yet. It's
But we're on
coming.
the ground floor,
Yep,
basically.
this is it.
It's still in
Yeah,
development.
it's in development.
It's not even beta, but you can
No.
but you'll learn about it and then you can start to apply it to
Yeah,
your own
yeah.
problems that maybe you aren't applying enough creativity to.
Right. And in my talk, I talk about all these big issues: climate change, deforestation, species extinction, the rise of AI, these big things that we have to grapple with. So creative problem solving is absolutely essential to a sustainable world.
Yeah.
So that was part of it. How can you get this kind of system out into the world in a greater, kind of bigger way rather than it through a consultancy?
And we know that even with Think Wrong but just adults in general are not great at creative problem solving.
I don't think so. And I think it's
And since adults run the world, it's really important that we teach adults how to do this.
yeah. I think over time, kids are really good at creativity, and
Yeah.
I think it's partially because they don't have these pre-existing neural pathways, these learned behaviors. So if you're a McKinsey guy, all you've got are neural pathways, right? You're smart, the way to get to a solution, and you kind of build the shit out of it, right?
Yeah.
Kids are much better. We engineer that out of them. And so I thought, a simple way to do that would be a good thing in the world. There's a certain missionary aspect to it.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. We're trying to do that, I think, within business so that everybody can access creativity as part of their business. But what you're talking about is quite a bit bigger than that. It's anything. It's like
It's
I'm sick
anything.
of doing the dishes the same way, right? Like it's anything.
Anything. Like, why do I have a car? Why do I,
Yeah.
have a mortgage? Why do I have a job I don't like? Right?
Yeah.
How do I achieve more satisfaction in my life? Why do I need to get married? Could be anything, as
Yeah.
well as business
Right.
concerns.
I feel like that I hate to call them the millennial generation. I was thinking about the other day, like stereotypes, totally wrong, right? Can we accept that? It's not
Sure.
okay to stereotype. Except
No.
generations. That's the only place that we still stereotype
Yeah.
is generations. And I
Right.
guess because it's handy, but I mean, all stereotypes are convenient,
Right.
but they didn't survive just because they're convenient. But this one,
Right.
millennials, they're, I don't know what are some, they're lazy, right? They're
Directionless, or
right.
yeah.
But that's such bullshit. I mean, we have so many millennials and we don't find that at all.
Right.
And I remember it being said about the last generation too. Anyway, I think those that term is it's not even cool to say. I'm going to say it's politically incorrect.
Yeah.
But this people in their 30s and 40s are definitely looking at their lives and asking kind of those big questions and then solving them creatively, I've noticed.
Yeah, I think it's different than when I was growing up, where we were still sort of in the middle of this American dream. You work hard, you go to college, you get a job, you get a house, and you can work your way up that ladder.
Yeah.
And it was generally accepted that was possible. I think it's less possible as the wealth has been more disparate.
So it's not just a decision, it's also maybe just somewhat practical. Like, well, that's not going to work, so
Right.
I might as well dream up
Right.
something else.
And then you get, stuff going on in the world and with climate and all that. There's a lot of anxiety about
And it
the
could also
future.
be people seeing their parents and like, wow, they checked off every box and they're not happy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to try something else.
Yeah, they suck. Right. So I just feel that we're in a time where the status quo, the way we have done things, is unsustainable. Like, it's not even, it just isn't going to work.
So your
going
mission is to
forward.
create to teach all people a creative problem solving process
is useful, right?
Yeah.
And can create a more meaningful life. I think sometimes I think it's in the wellness category rather than the creativity category.
That's cool.
Yeah. I don't even know what that means.
It's still
I just
cool.
said
No, it sounds like a big thought.
It
Was that the first time you've ever said it as well?
Yeah, it sounded good. Sounds like a big market.
So there's four steps, right? Do
Yeah.
you want to start to get into it? So if you're listening, you're going to learn about 4 steps. They're 4 really simple and easy steps, and you're going to be able to apply them. We've already started to mess around with it. It definitely is a great, simple framework. And you're going to lead us
Sure.
into learning more.
Yeah,
At this point.
So the first one is wait, why? So it's like wait, like why is an ad agency set up the way it is?
Totally sounds like something that a kid would say.
Totally,
too,
I love
right?
it.
Yeah.
It's a spin-off of wait, what?
Wait, what?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
wait,
Wait,
why?
why?
So
Yeah.
it's kind of the research phase. So if you're looking at advertising and where it's going, I think there's a correlation to, you can't just keep doing the same things they did in the 70s, 80s, 90s,
Right.
expect to be successful. So you go, wait, why?
Are you ever past the wait why? Is there ever times where people have already done wait why and then they need step 2, or do you need to start at wait why?
Yeah, that's good. I think you need to start there because it provokes the questioning that's necessary for the next.
Yeah.
So why do we have a art director and a copywriter paired up?
Wait, why?
Yeah, why? So maybe then the next step is maybe, right? So
Wait, let's spend more time with
Okay.
wait why though.
Sure.
Give me another example. So let's come up with a life problem and then apply wait why
Sure.
to that.
Sure.
I can't come up with a problem.
Um,
I want to do a new bottled water.
so you would go, wait, why is bottled water sold in disposable containers?
Okay.
Right. That would be a wait why.
And then do you try to come up with lots of wait whys? Is that this?
You come up with a lot of wait. So you would, let's say you print out every bottled water packaging
Okay.
and you'd look at it and you'd start to ask the why questions, right? So why does it all look kind of the same? Why does it fit within the vernacular of bottled water? Why do cans why are they always sparkling, for example? Or
We always unpack conventions that way. Like,
Right.
what are the conventions of a
Right.
category?
exactly.
But that's
same
wonky.
thing.
Like, wait, why is cooler.
It sounds cooler.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's getting at the
Well,
same
it also
thing.
works with, my brother keeps stealing my candy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
Whereas a kid's not going to say, I'm going to solve this with creativity. What are the conventions of candy theft?
yeah. The example I always use is with the Method soap guys,
Mhm.
where they said, wait, why is the dish soap always put underneath the
Mhm.
counter and hidden away? Right.
Yeah.
Maybe we could design a really cool bottle that people would want on the counter instead.
Okay. Is that the next step?
The next step is the maybe. So once you've asked
and you
a
have to
lot of
say it like that. Maybe.
You do.
Maybe.
You kind of do.
Yeah.
So it's
No, I
the
like
same
that.
as the wait why.
Yeah.
There's definitely a pattern to it.
Wait, why? You can't say it like
No,
that.
wait
Yeah.
why? Why?
If you come into this and you start saying, wait, why?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get
Wait
anything
why?
out of
Maybe.
it.
Yeah. No, maybe you have to.
Maybe.
I think that's part of what makes it fun.
Yeah.
So
Well, there's the I always, one of the things about kids versus adults is they're so curious.
Yeah.
And this process is sort of a way, I don't know, now that I'm hearing it, both of those questions, right? They feel like they kind of rekindle that connection to the original curiosity that we all start with.
yeah, exactly.
I'm
I
just
think
projecting
it's
probably.
no, I think it's built for kids, but useful for everyone.
Yeah.
So it is kind of back to that kind of wonder about the world that we all had until it was beaten
That's a
out
good.
of us.
You also said it's someone was telling me yesterday it was a developer, and they decided to develop product for like 60 and 70-year-old women. And what they found was when they nailed that, everybody preferred it. So it like completely wiped out their other digital product.
Yeah.
And you were saying earlier, I think, about this process, like, grandmothers should be able to do it as well. So it's like
Right.
designed for the kid. It's designed for those kind of edge cases. And when you nail those, when you make it simple enough for your mother to use,
Right.
then it's great for everybody.
Right.
And probably great. What I'm getting at is probably great for the professional.
Right. Yeah, I think it's like something that's good for you that tastes bad. You probably won't do it, but if it's fun and tastes good, you'll do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's trying to build that fun into it.
It's the best tasting brainstorm process
Exactly.
on the market today. Yeah.
Yeah, calorie free.
Yeah. Okay, wait, why? And then
Maybe. So that's where you're really starting to kind of present the challenge. So based on the whys, you could actually answer every why with a maybe. So
Yeah,
you could
okay.
go
Oh,
through and
okay.
maybe we could do this, maybe before kind of selecting something. And then you just look at those and go, what's the most interesting?
Mhm.
What's the insight here that I didn't have before?
Is the maybe, from Think Wrong and just any connections, there was a thing I loved in the book, which is think stupid or stupid. Come up with be stupid. Yeah. And my version of that was the opposite, like think the opposite. But I
Right.
think stupid's better than the opposite, because the opposite is, there's only one point on the compass, but there's just so much stupid out there that you could access.
Right.
So I really love how broad that is. Is the maybe, is that where stupid comes in, or is that
Not
later?
really. That comes
Okay.
in the next. So once you have a maybe statement that
Yeah.
you're pretty happy with, this could get to something. The next one is what if. So this is when
That's
you're in the
stupid. That's where I can do stupid.
right.
Okay.
That's like maybe we could put flat water in a can and sell it. Right. So the be stupid, what would be the stupidest thing we could possibly do? We could call it liquid death. That would
Mhm.
be really stupid. Right. So that's where it's kind of disarming. And again, kids would like it. Kids would love to be stupid. We should
Yeah.
get monkeys,
Yeah.
So that next step is what if is to generate as many possibilities as you can. And there are different processes to do that, but it's basically to prevent you from following pre-existing pathways in
Okay.
your brain. Kids, I've found, it's easier for them to do that
Mhm.
than adults. But even with adults, it just takes a simple prompt to keep you off that path.
What's the other, are there other tricks? Because I think people who aren't used to this process, they start to edit, even at the what if, I can imagine people are starting to edit their ideas. And if the goal is as many as possible, there's got to be that looseness. We were talking to Tom earlier, and who's a ECD here, and he said that one time I told him, no one will remember you for the 100 stupid ideas, just the one great one. And that took a lot of pressure off of him.
Right. Yeah.
Are there techniques like that that are either in the upcoming book or that you're thinking help people?
Yeah. So what we're working on now is more of a game tool than a book. I think the book is fine. People read it, they skim it more likely, and then put it on the shelf, and that's that. And I thought if there's some way, an interactive way to kind of get into this, and do it on a regular basis, that would be more useful than a book.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're doing there is there are these what if cards, and each player will pick 2 of them, and they'll have random things on them. It could be a monkey in the Eiffel Tower. And that's your starting point. So
Mm-hmm.
the point is your brain has no neural pathway between whatever that maybe challenge is and Eiffel Tower monkey, right? And so your brain, you just have to work on finding some connection to it.
The whole design of it is to make things so disparate that there's no way,
Right.
unless you were a Eiffel Tower monkey performer for years, that you would have anything there.
Exactly. Which would be rare.
It's
That
going to
would-
be rare. It's an edge case for sure.
It would be rare, yeah. And then, I think what your brain is pathological about following the pathways. So you'll get a problem, superhighway, neural pathway to this file folder of what you already know.
Yeah.
So if you're just like in your head, that's what it'll do that whether you want to or not.
Yeah. You can just say to yourself, be creative, and it's still not going to
It's
happen.
not going to work unless you kind of, I think it is possible. I think there are people who are naturally hardwired that way.
Right.
And then I think drugs, not even being sarcastic, I think it helps, right?
Yeah.
Because it blocks those neural connections.
Does the game like come with drugs? Does the book come with drugs? Or can you not
so
say?
It's actually funny you should mention that. I have a friend who's a neurologist, really brilliant guy, helped with the first book. He's working on brain cancer research, super smart guy. And so I've asked him, is there a drug or a chemical in the brain that reduces fear of new ideas or I'd just gone to see the movie Free Solo about Alex Honnold.
Yeah.
And at one point they scan his brain and they find out that his, what do they call it? It's not epidural glottis or something doesn't fire the same in his brain as everyone else. And that might enable him to do this stuff that nobody would do. And I was like, well, is there a drug that you could take that would stop that process? So you're being funny, but I actually
I'm not
think
being funny.
that
I'm
would
listening.
be cool.
I didn't even say anything.
I just love that idea.
Well, didn't we just pass some mushrooms thing yesterday in Colorado? So you might have to come back and do some research.
Okay.
You can come into the shed and we'll just record the whole thing. I don't think I want to be in here while it's happening, but
when I was in college, these guys would make a little tent in their dorm room out of like dry cleaning plastic bags.
yeah.
And then they had this pot bong thing that would fill it with smoke, and they'd live in that little tent for hours at a time
Just to come up with stuff. When I was, there was a time in my career when I would concept and I'd go to work and I'd do things that I would do during the day. But then when I started to concept, it was usually later and I'd start to drink. Right. And there was a sweet spot between sort of being buzzed and like drunk that ideas would come out. The problem is I was drinking more and more and more, and that sweet spot was narrowing, and it got down. So it was like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes before I was in the sweet spot, and then I was shit faced, and I stopped drinking entirely for 3 years. Not because of concepting, but because of other problems with that, was occurring.
Yeah.
And I was so sure that I wouldn't be able to think of stuff anymore.
Like
I did. Right. It's alcohol. It's a different drug, but I was very reliant, at least emotionally, on it, and I was worried.
Yeah.
But what I found was if anything, for sure, I got better actually at it. Because I focused more on what really works and what do I really need to do, and probably developed at that point my own version of the tricks and the methods that you teach.
Right. Yeah, I think anything like alcohol or drugs will kind of disrupt the normal brain kind of function and allow you to free associate in a different way.
For sure. That's what it did.
Right.
But then then I would just be drunk though. And that was different than that moment of free association.
Right.
Man, we've really derailed here. So we've gone through the first three processes, right? Yeah.
Wait, why? Maybe.
Maybe.
The what if, and then the final is try this.
Mm.
So what happens a lot of times with good ideas, new ideas, crazy ideas, stupid ideas is they get to a point where they lose momentum, get wrapped around the axle, and nothing happens. And so what you want to have happen is what we call try this, which is
is that something that happens just professionally, or that happens?
I think it's both. I think
even individuals.
I think so.
Oh wait, can I go back?
Yeah.
Just to the game?
Sure.
Just a thought. Because you want this to work for an individual, make sure your game works if you play it like
By
solitaire
yourself.
version.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's more of a tool than a game. I say
Right.
game because I sort of got the idea when we were playing Cards Against Humanity
Right.
and how much fun it was, and I really liked the design, the form factor, and so I keep saying game, but I think it's really a tool.
It's like flashcards for
Yeah,
creativity,
totally.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's probably
And it could be an app. It could be
it could
potentially.
be, absolutely
Right.
sure, and it's probably been done. This guy Edward de Bono's written a lot about creativity. He's probably got something like this.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to make it as easy and accessible and well designed and fun and interesting as possible,
Mhm.
because I think it'll get more traction that way.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, do you think people are more afraid when they're trying to think of things alone, or when they're in a group? Because we talked about fear
yeah,
earlier.
I think group probably more afraid. Groups are good because you can, it's the brainstorming feeding off
Yeah.
others rather than just in your own head, even if you've got the tools. As long as you feel free to come up with stupid stuff. I think within corporations, there's always a hierarchy and a fear about looking stupid or losing your job, that
Yeah.
inhibits that.
Yeah.
So the last one is try this, which is just, smallify the idea enough so that you can actually do something. So if it's me, it could be next week, I'm going to use $100 and do something by Friday,
Yeah.
right? Whatever that is. If you're a corporation, it could be 6 months and $500,000. So you kind of scale it, but you actually commit to doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hopefully start to get some traction and see the possibility there.
Yeah. It's like an MVP, I guess.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was out of advertising. I came back in. If there was something that I would have predicted that we're all doing more of that. Sometimes you call it tiny bets. Tiny bets or small bets?
Small bets.
Small bets. Making lots of small bets. I would have guessed that the whole industry sort of embraced that idea and that clients were doing it. It's not so much true. I mean, there's probably some, but I don't see it as much as I would have expected.
Right. Well, I think, agencies are like other large organizations. They have these orthodoxies that are really difficult to disrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably some of that there's a macho-ness to the big idea, perhaps.
Yeah.
I want to have that
You also
huge
have
idea.
You also have a lot of distortion in terms of like big and small. So people will complain, oh, we only have $300,000 to make this. You're like, well, you could build a house for that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money, but
Right.
you can lose perspective on that. I wonder if all bets in a way in a corporate world are all bets similar, because they all maybe expose you to being wrong,
Right.
and that they're not really small. I wonder if there's a way to make them feel smaller,
Yeah.
so that they're easier to bite off, because it's not just money, is what I'm saying.
Right. Sure.
Yeah, the size of a bet is can feel big even if the budget's very small.
Yeah. I wonder if it's a naming problem. If you called it something, not even a small bet, if there's another name.
Yeah.
Let's just run a Pinocchio
Yeah.
on this, right?
Yeah.
So it's not even a bet. It's like
Right.
it's a thing that represents a really kind of tight little project.
Yeah. You couldn't call them tries. I'm trying to think of what I would want to call them to take all the pressure
Right,
off of
right.
it, you know?
I think language could do it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And not even reference anything like the betting
Yeah.
analogy, because you can always lose in a bet, right?
Yeah. What are you making that's got zero pressure on it? Like those things that kids make, the noodle where they paste noodles down to
Yeah.
paintings.
Yeah.
Those are easy. You don't worry. Maybe they're like
A
noodles.
a noodle.
Noodle sketch.
Let's noodle
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
We need to do some noodle sketches or
Yeah.
something like that. No, that's
I think
terrible.
it's something. It's got to be
Something- it's gotta
something
be.
really disarming.
Yes, right.
Like a dump. We gotta
A dump.
make a dump.
A dump is
Let's
good.
dump it.
Yeah. 10 dumps by tomorrow morning. Who's in?
Yeah.
Who's with me? Well, when's this all gonna I'm excited because right now I hope if you're listening, you're writing this stuff down and then you can kind of run through it. You could always rewind. But do you have a plan for how this unfolds?
Yep. I'm doing my own dumping right now where I'm
Okay.
trying this new process out. So I run the Think Wrong Institute at the University of Kansas right now. And so
Yeah.
I'm using this process with the students. Seems to work. No problems there. And I'm actually working on the tool, the Thinknado game right now.
Mm.
So stay tuned. It's coming out.
I had mentioned that David Littlejohn might be a fun
I'd love to connect with him.
collaborator on that. He
Yeah.
loves games.
Yep. I'll follow
He
up.
came up with some takeoff on Cards Against the Humanity that's pretty fun that
Huh.
he gave as a Christmas gift.
Those guys, I haven't met them yet. I have a connection to them, the Cards Against Humanity guys. I don't know if
No.
you've ever looked at the website and the copy,
haven't.
and it's so irreverent.
It's amazing.
It's fantastic.
I played the game, and it
Yeah,
is
it's-
outrageous.
It's
Yeah,
outrageous.
It's outrageous. And I remember playing it, and the kids were of an age where you're like, I don't know if this is right. That we're
Oh, yeah.
right, which kind of made it a lot more
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
It can be embarrassing.
Well, yeah, but they probably had a huge education just through that game that I
Right.
don't even appreciate. Right?
yeah.
Yeah. It's like, hey kids, it's our movie night, R-rated movies and Cards Against Humanity. Everybody's gonna grow up, or ship out.
Yeah.
We had talked a little bit about our new internship, and you might help us kind
Sure.
of run the process. Are you open to
Yeah,
that?
yeah. So we talked about me coming in at the beginning and do a Thinknado.
Yeah.
Kind of with the
Our
group.
crash course, a Thinknado within a crash course. It sounds violent.
We used to call it a blitz, which is also
Oh, really?
violent.
Well,
Yeah.
it would be beautiful because I think with the interns, what I really want, we're going to give a job to one intern or send them back to an ad school. But what you really want is you just want them to get a lot of value out of it,
Yeah.
right? It would be so great for me just for them to all be part of a process that they potentially could take the rest of their
Right.
career.
And I think setting it up at the very beginning, because
Yeah,
I'm sure they're
early.
going to come in intimidated by the mean creative guy, Alex Bogusky. And so if you can kind of
So scary.
diffuse that, scary guy, yeah. And be stupid and go through the process and have fun. I think it'll kind of set up the rest of the period.
Yeah, I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do another show and we'll have you back on.
Okay.
And if you
Yeah, to be
come back,
continued.
we will see. If this show performs as well as the last one, we'll certainly have you back on.
I basically revealed our whole new
You did. Someone
product.
could steal this.
Oh, easily.
This is the way to do it, though. Just get it out there. Now you got to rush to finish it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's still. I just love working this way. Right. Just take your ideas and share them, and then just keep going.
Yeah.
If anything, you're just going to have more collaboration and more great things will come just from people realizing what you're
Exactly.
doing.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it because a lot of people are shy about sharing things that aren't completely baked. So I really appreciate it.
I'm terrible about making money. So this is my normal process of giving everything away.
Give it away, and then after you've given it all away, try to figure out how to make money.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's an okay way to be. Are you happy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have enough.
All right. Exactly. You're one of the happier dudes I know. I think you got life figured out. I like
Yeah,
I
I
like
don't
your
know.
style. I like your
Thanks.
style. Well, that's it for this show. I hope you'll join us next time on the Woodshed. If you have the time and the inclination, go to thewoodshedshow.com and take a look at all the show notes and links and things like that that'll be in there. And then also go check out. Let's go check out Liquid Death. You know, they sponsored today's show by giving us water. And then as well, perhaps go to Beacon Street and get all your music needs answered there. They do our wonderful intro and outro music. So hit it.